Hey there, folks! John Oliver here, ready to break down the latest geopolitical showdown. This week, it was all about President Biden strutting his stuff at the NATO summit. Picture this: a room full of world leaders, tense smiles plastered on their faces, all while trying to decipher Biden's whispers. It was a sight to behold. Now you might be thinking, NATO? That sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. But hold your horses, because this summit was anything but dull. With the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and global tensions running high, Biden had his work cut out for him. So, what exactly went down at this high-stakes gathering? Well, let's just say Biden didn't mince words. He reaffirmed America's commitment to NATO, promised unwavering support for Ukraine, and basically told Putin, don't even think about it. You know, classic Biden diplomacy. But the real question is, did anyone actually listen? Were the NATO allies convinced by Biden's tough talk? Or were they secretly rolling their eyes and wishing they'd brought a better book to read? Stick around, folks, because we're about to dive deep into the wonderful world of international relations. Let's be real, folks. Ukraine was the elephant in the room, or should I say the bear in the room. The situation in Ukraine has been a focal point of international politics for quite some time now. Biden made it crystal clear that supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression was at the top of his agenda. This isn't just a passing concern, it's a cornerstone of his foreign policy. He pledged billions of dollars in military aid, ensuring that Ukraine has the resources it needs to defend itself, slapped more sanctions on Russia, targeting key sectors of their economy to put pressure on Putin's regime, and basically told Putin to take his tanks and shove it. Biden's message was unambiguous. Aggression will not be tolerated. Now I know what you're thinking. More money for weapons? Isn't there a better way to handle this? Haven't we spent enough already? The financial burden is indeed significant, and it's a valid concern for many. And look, I get it. The economic strain is real, and people are feeling it. Times are tough, and the last thing anyone wants is to see their hard-earned tax dollars funding another war. The skepticism is understandable. But here's the thing. Biden argues that supporting Ukraine is about more than just helping out a friend in need. It's about defending democracy, standing up to bullies, and maintaining international order, and preventing a certain tyrannical dictator from getting any ideas about invading other countries. The stakes are high, and the implications are global. Political analysts, of course not everyone's convinced. There are strong opinions on both sides of the aisle. Some folks argue that the US should stay out of it, that it's not our fight, and that we should focus on problems here at home. That it's not our fight and that we should focus on problems here at home. The argument is that our resources should be directed towards domestic issues, and that we should focus on problems here at home. And hey, they've got a point. There are plenty of issues within our own borders that need attention. And hey, they've got a point. The debate over resource allocation is a valid one, and it's a conversation that needs to happen. But Biden's stance is clear. If we don't stand up to Putin now, who knows where he'll stop? The potential consequences of inaction are too great to ignore. Biden believes that a strong response now could prevent larger conflicts in the future. History has shown us that inaction can often lead to greater conflicts down the line. The lessons of the past are clear. And it's not just the US. Many of our international allies are also stepping up to support Ukraine. This is a global effort to maintain peace and stability. International summits have been held, and the consensus is that a united front is necessary to deter further aggression. It's also important to note that the support isn't just military. Humanitarian aid is being provided to help the Ukrainian people who are suffering due to the conflict. The human cost of this conflict is immense, and providing aid to those in need is a crucial part of the response. Biden has met with Ukrainian refugees, hearing their stories and understanding the dire situation they face. This personal connection has only strengthened his resolve. There is also significant bipartisan support in Congress for aiding Ukraine. This isn't just a partisan issue, it's a matter of principle and international responsibility. Around the world, people are showing their support for Ukraine. Protests and rallies have been held, demonstrating global solidarity. In his addresses to the nation, Biden has emphasized the importance of standing with Ukraine. He believes that this is a defining moment for democracy and international order. Signing aid packages and making commitments, Biden is taking concrete steps to ensure that Ukraine has the support it needs. Ukrainian soldiers are on the front lines defending their country with courage and determination. They are not alone in this fight. international leaders continue to discuss and strategize on the best ways to support Ukraine and deter further aggression. Biden's meetings with international leaders have been crucial in forming a united front. The message is clear: aggression will not be tolerated, and democracy will be defended. Addressing the United Nations, Biden has called for global cooperation and support for Ukraine. This is a pivotal moment in international relations. The resilience of the Ukrainian people is inspiring. Their determination to defend their country and their freedom is a testament to the human spirit. In his final remarks, Biden reiterated the importance of standing with Ukraine. This is not just about one country, it's about the principles of freedom and democracy that we all hold dear. The international community's support for Ukraine is a powerful reminder that when we stand together, we can make a difference. This is a fight for the future of democracy, and it's a fight we must win. So Biden's message was loud and clear: support Ukraine, stand up to Russia, and don't even think about messing with NATO. His speech was a rallying cry, a call to arms for the Western alliance to present a united front against aggression. But how did the other NATO allies react? The reactions were as varied as the countries themselves, each bringing their own historical context, political climates, and strategic interests to the table. Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. Some nations were ready to jump on board without hesitation, while others took a more cautious approach, weighing the potential consequences of their actions. International correspondent: some countries like the UK and Poland were all in, pledging their unwavering support and promising to send even more weapons to Ukraine. They were vocal in their commitment, emphasizing the importance of standing up to Russian aggression and defending democratic values. They were basically the hype men, nodding along enthusiastically to everything Biden said. Their support was not just symbolic, it was backed by concrete actions and commitments to bolster Ukraine's defenses. Others, like France and Germany, were a bit more hesitant. Their leaders expressed solidarity with Ukraine, but were wary of the potential for further escalation. They were mindful of their own economic ties with Russia and the impact of sanctions on their economies. They agreed that Russia was in the wrong, but expressed concerns about escalating the conflict. They advocated for a balanced approach, one that would pressure Russia without pushing the situation into a full-blown war. They were the cautious friends, holding Biden back from starting a bar fight with Putin. Their approach was more about diplomacy and finding a peaceful resolution, even if it meant taking a slower, more measured path. And then there were the wildcards, like Turkey, who seemed to be playing both sides. Turkey's actions were unpredictable, reflecting its unique geopolitical position and its own national interests. One minute, they're supplying Ukraine with drones, the next minute they're blocking Finland and Sweden from joining NATO. This duality made Turkey a complex player in the alliance, often leaving other members guessing about its next move. It's enough to make your head spin. The diplomatic dance was intricate, with each country maneuvering to protect its own interests, while trying to maintain the unity of the alliance. International correspondent: the point is, getting everyone on the same page is like herding cats. The diversity of opinions and strategies within NATO made consensus building a formidable challenge. Everyone's got their own interests, their own domestic pressures, and their own opinions on how to deal with Putin. The alliance had to navigate these complexities to present a united front, a task easier said than done. It's a delicate balancing act, and it's no wonder Biden looked a little frazzled by the end of it all. The weight of maintaining unity while addressing the diverse concerns of each member was a monumental task, one that required not just leadership, but also a deep understanding of the intricate web of international relations. Behind the scenes, Biden and his team were in constant discussions, strategizing on how to keep the alliance together. They had to consider not just the immediate threat from Russia, but also the long-term stability of NATO. The debates were often heated, with strong opinions on both sides. Some members pushed for more aggressive measures, while others called for restraint and diplomacy. Amidst all this, the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine was a constant reminder of the stakes involved. The need to support the Ukrainian people and provide aid was a unifying factor, even among those who disagreed on military strategies. Joint military exercises were conducted to show solidarity and readiness. These exercises were not just about preparation, but also about sending a clear message to Russia that NATO was united and prepared to defend its members. Diplomatic efforts continued, with leaders meeting regularly to discuss and negotiate. These meetings were crucial in maintaining open lines of communication and finding common ground. Public statements from world leaders were carefully crafted to convey unity and resolve. Each statement was a piece of the larger puzzle, contributing to the overall strategy of deterrence and defense. Ultimately, the goal was peace and stability, not just for Ukraine, but for the entire region. The hope was that through unity and strength, NATO could deter further aggression and pave the way for a peaceful resolution. Biden's determination was clear. Despite the challenges and the mixed reactions, he remained resolute in his commitment to support Ukraine and uphold the principles of the alliance. The road ahead was uncertain, but the message was clear. NATO stood together, ready to face whatever came next. Now, for those of you who slept through history class, no judgment, we've all been there. Let's dive into a quick refresher on what NATO actually is and why it matters today. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is essentially a military alliance formed in 1949. Its primary purpose was to provide collective security against the Soviet Union. Think of it as a big old club of countries that promise to have each other's backs if one of them gets attacked. It's like a neighborhood watch, but on a global scale. Imagine the Avengers, but instead of superheroes with capes and superpowers, it's a bunch of politicians in suits, shaking hands and making deals. NATO was formed in the aftermath of World War II, a time when the world was reeling from the devastation and looking for ways to prevent such a catastrophe from happening again. And for a while, it worked pretty well. The alliance helped to keep the peace during the tense years of the Cold War. The Cold War stayed cold, meaning it didn't escalate into a full-blown nuclear war, and everyone went home happy, or at least not actively nuking each other. But then, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed and the world was left wondering, wait, what do we do now? Some people thought NATO should just pack up and go home. After all, the big bad enemy was gone, right? There were heated debates about whether NATO was still relevant in a post-Soviet world. Public opinion interviewer, but others argued that NATO was still relevant, that new threats were emerging, and that the alliance was more necessary than ever. The world was changing rapidly, and new security challenges were on the horizon. Terrorism, cyber attacks, and regional conflicts were just a few of the issues that NATO had to contend with. Fast forward to today, and NATO is back in the spotlight. The alliance has had to adapt to a new geopolitical landscape. With Russia's recent aggressive actions, particularly in Ukraine, NATO's role has become more crucial than ever. Military drills and joint exercises near border regions are a common sight, showcasing the alliance's readiness to respond to any threat. The proximity of Russia to NATO countries has heightened tensions and underscored the importance of the alliance. It's a reminder that in a world of uncertainty and danger, having a network of allies can make all the difference. It's always good to have friends with tanks, planes, and a shared commitment to peace and security. NATO continues to evolve, facing new challenges head-on, and proving that even in the 21st century, the need for collective defense and international cooperation remains as vital as ever.